The familiar creak of the basement stairs had become my morning alarm. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness, a steady reminder of my new bedroom. I checked my phone 5:30 a.m. Perfect timing. I quickly changed into my running clothes, careful not to make noise. Above me, the luxury hardwood floors that I'd secretly had installed last year creaked under someone's footsteps. Probably cousin Adam, living the life in what used to be my room. The basement door opened silently. Another improvement I'd made without my family's knowledge. As I stepped into the pre-dawn air, my phone buzzed with a message from my assistant. Kingston Heights acquisition complete. You now own 60% of downtown commercial property. I smiled, tucked the phone away, and started my run. My family thought these early morning runs were my way of avoiding them. In reality, I was building an empire, one property at a time. The story of how I ended up in the basement of my own house began 2 months ago, when Adam showed up at our door with a sob story about his failed tech startup in Silicon Valley. My parents, always eager to play saviors to everyone except their own daughter, immediately offered him my room. The basement has a bed, Mom had said, not meeting my eyes. You're always saying you like your privacy, Sarah. This is perfect. Perfect indeed. They had no idea that the basement's recent flooding issues were carefully orchestrated to keep them from storing things down there. Just like they had no idea that the historic mansion they were so proud of had been mine for the past year. I rounded the corner of Palmer Street, passing the row of boutiques I'd acquired last month. My phone buzzed again. Final inspection of Harrison Building complete. Renovations can begin next week. 6 years ago, when I'd graduated with my business degree, my father had laughed at my plan to start in real estate. Property is for people with connections, he'd said. Why don't you take that job at your uncle's insurance firm? It's more suitable. Instead, I'd taken a job as a property maintenance coordinator. My family thought I was fixing leaky faucets. In reality, I was learning every detail of building management, making connections, and slowly building my portfolio. The sun was rising as I reached the coffee shop. Another of my properties, though the family didn't know that either. Lisa, the manager, smiled as I entered. Morning, boss. The usual. Thanks, Lisa. How's the new equipment working out? Amazing. The staff can't believe the upgrade. Your cousin was in here yesterday, by the way. Complained about the prices, demanded a family discount. I smiled. Did he mention whose family? No, just said his uncle owns half the buildings on this street. Lisa rolled her eyes. If he only knew. Back at the house, I could hear the family stirring. I slipped into the basement, showered in the bathroom I'd secretly renovated. They thought I used the gym, and dressed for work. My job as a building maintenance supervisor was my perfect cover. Upstairs, Adam was holding court at the breakfast table. So I told the guy, that's not how we did it in Silicon Valley, he was saying. Mom and Dad hung on every word. Morning, I said, grabbing an apple. Oh, Sarah, Mom said, barely glancing up. Adam needs a ride to his job interview. You can drop him on your way to wherever it is you go. The interview was at the Harrison Building, my newest acquisition. I'd been briefed on Adam's application yesterday. He was interviewing for a junior management position, completely unqualified but riding on family connections. Sure, I said. Happy to help. In the car, Adam sprawled in the passenger seat of my modest Honda Civic. Another strategic choice. Nothing reveals wealth faster than a flashy car. Must be tough, he said, scrolling through his phone. What's tough? You know, watching your little sister succeed while you're still doing whatever it is you do. Jessica's got her own fashion line now. I turned onto Main Street, passing 3 buildings I owned. Everyone has their own path. Yeah, but some paths lead to the basement, he snickered. At least you're good at fixing things. Maybe you can finally fix that drip down there. If he only knew I'd installed that drip specifically to make the basement seem less appealing to anyone else. The Harrison Building loomed ahead. 40 stories of prime real estate. I'd bought it through one of my shell corporations last week. The renovations would transform it into the most prestigious business address in the city. This is me, Adam said, straightening his tie. Thanks for the ride in your little car. Hey, maybe if I get this job, I can help you get a maintenance position here. Put in a good word. That's thoughtful of you. I watched him stride into my building, where he would interview with my hiring manager, who had already been instructed to let him down gently. Not out of spite, but because Adam's track record of startup failures and burned bridges made him a liability. My phone buzzed with messages from my real office, the top floor of the Phoenix building across town. Acquisition proposals, development plans, and investment opportunities waited for my review. But first I had another stop to make. The law office of Chen and Associates occupied a modest suite in one of my smaller buildings. Maria Chen had been my lawyer since my first property purchase, helping me structure my business to maintain privacy. "The papers are ready," she said as I entered. "Are you sure about the timing?" I took the envelope she offered. "They're planning to renovate my room for Adam next week. Apparently the basement isn't good enough for him anymore. And you're ready for them to know everything." I thought about the years of dismissal, the constant comparisons to my successful siblings, the way they'd relegated me to the basement of my own house. "It's time," I said. "Have the other documents ready too. The ones about the trust fund they think they've been living on." Maria nodded. "You know this will change everything." "That's the point." Back in my car, I reviewed my schedule. Board meeting at 10, property walkthrough at 1, and dinner with the family at 7, where they'd undoubtedly spend the evening praising Adam's potential while questioning my life choices. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Need you to pick up some things for Adam's welcome dinner tonight. Sending list." I replied with a simple okay, while signing off on the acquisition of the city's largest shopping mall. The day passed in a blur of meetings and decisions, all conducted from my private office while my family assumed I was fixing air conditioners and unclogging drains. By 6, I was back in my modest maintenance uniform, pulling into our driveway. The house, my house, was lit up, voices and laughter spilling from the windows. I entered through the kitchen, where Mom was preparing Adam's favorite dishes. "Oh good, you're back," she said. "Adam didn't get the job. Can you believe it? Their loss. But he has another interview tomorrow at the Phoenix building." I kept my face neutral. "The Phoenix building, my headquarters. That's nice. Maybe you could learn from him." Mom continued. "He's got real ambition. Speaking of which, your father and I have been talking. The basement isn't really suitable for long-term living. We think that I should move out." I finished for her. "Well, Adam needs more space to set up his home office. The basement is really better for storage anyway." I took out my phone and sent a quick text to Maria. It was time. "Actually," I said, "I've been meaning to talk to you about the house. Sarah, please don't make a fuss. You know family has to come first." I couldn't agree more. The doorbell rang. Perfect timing. Who could that be during dinner? Mom frowned. I walked to the door and opened it. Maria stood there with her briefcase, looking every inch the high-powered attorney she was. "Right on time," I said. "Please come in." The next few minutes would change everything. And somewhere in the house, hidden security cameras were recording it all, ready to capture the moment my family discovered that their basement-dwelling daughter owned not just this house but half the city. I led Maria into the dining room, where everyone was gathered. Time to show them exactly what fixing air conditioners had taught me about building an empire. The dining room fell silent as Maria entered. Dad stood up, frowning at the interruption of their celebration dinner for Adam. "Sarah, what's the meaning of this?" "We have a family dinner in progress," Dad said, his authoritative businessman voice in full effect. "Everyone, this is Maria Chen, from Chen and Associates. She's here to discuss some property matters," I said calmly, taking my usual seat at the far end of the table, the one furthest from the family's inner circle. "Property matters." Mom laughed nervously. "Sarah, if this is about the basement situation." "Actually," Maria interrupted, opening her briefcase, "this is about the ownership of 847 Maple Avenue. This house, and several other properties in the city." Adam snickered. "What's wrong? Did someone complain about a leaky faucet?" Maria spread several documents across the table, carefully avoiding the elaborate dinner settings. "As of 13 months ago, this property was purchased by Phoenix Holdings, a subsidiary of Kingston Enterprises." Dad's face reddened. "That's impossible. This house has been in our family for 3 generations, I finished. Until last year, when the bank was about to foreclose due to missed payments and hidden debt." The color drained from Mom's face. "They thought they'd kept the financial troubles secret from me." "How do you know about that?" Jessica, my sister, demanded. I nodded to Maria, who produced another document. Because I'm the CEO of Kingston Enterprises. I bought the house when you defaulted on the payments, Dad. I've been your landlord for the past year. Silence. Then laughter. Nervous, disbelieving laughter. Very funny, Sarah. Adam smirked. Did you get a promotion from fixing toilets to writing comedy? Maria pulled out her tablet and pulled up the Kingston Enterprises website. There, on the executive page, was my photo, not in maintenance clothes, but in a tailored business suit. Sarah Kingston, Chief Executive Officer and Founder. This is some kind of joke. Mom stammered. The same company that owns the Harrison Building, where Adam interviewed today, I continued. And the Phoenix Building, where he's interviewing tomorrow. And about 60% of the commercial real estate downtown. Dad grabbed the property deed, his hands shaking. But, how? Remember when you told me real estate was about connections? You were right. So I spent 6 years making them, from the ground up. Every building manager, every maintenance worker, every tenant. While you were all laughing at my little maintenance job, I was learning how buildings really work, how to value them, how to improve them, how to buy them. Jessica stood up, her face pale. The boutique row on Palmer Street. Mine, including your fashion studio. Your generous rent discount came from me, not the property manager you thought owned it. But the money, Dad was still staring at the documents. The kind of capital needed for this. Maria produced another folder. Perhaps we should discuss the trust fund now. Mom's hand flew to her throat. What about the trust fund? The one Grandpa left that you've been living on. I said quietly. He left it to me, not you, Dad. His letter explained everything. How he saw what was happening with the family business. How he knew you were making risky decisions. He made me promise not to tell anyone until I turned 25. That's why you never complained about the low salary from your maintenance job. Jessica whispered. Or about being moved to the basement, Adam added, no longer smirking. I used the trust fund as seed money, invested carefully, built slowly. The maintenance job was my MBA in real estate. Every property I bought, I improved. Every building I acquired taught me something new. Dad slumped in his chair. The family business is 2 months away from bankruptcy. I finished. I know, just like I know about the embezzlement, the fake accounts, the loans you've been taking from clients. Mom started crying. We were trying to maintain our status, our position in society, while treating your own daughter like a servant, Maria added coldly, making her sleep in the basement of her own house. About that, I said, standing up. Since we're all clear on who owns this house now, I think it's time for some new arrangements. You're evicting us. Mom gasped. No, I said firmly. Despite everything, you're still family. But things are going to change. Adam, you have until tomorrow to move back to the basement. That's my room you're sleeping in, and I want it back. But, he started to protest. Or you can leave entirely. Your choice. Dad, starting Monday, you'll be meeting with my team to go through every account, every transaction, every client you've deceived. We're going to make it right. You'll destroy everything I've built. He shouted. You've already done that yourself, I replied calmly. I'm offering you a chance to fix it. To do things the right way, from the ground up, like I did. Jessica stood up. What about my fashion line? Your lease stands, but you'll be paying market rate from now on. Consider it motivation to actually work for your success instead of relying on family connections. Maria began gathering the documents. I'll have the full contracts drawn up by Monday. In the meantime, I suggest everyone take some time to adjust to the new reality. As Maria left, I remained standing, looking at my shocked family. The security cameras were still recording, capturing every moment of this revelation, not for revenge, but as a reminder, to them and to myself, of how far we'd all come from the truth. One more thing, I said, reaching into my pocket and pulling out the maintenance uniform I'd worn for so long. I won't be fixing the basement drip anymore, but I did hire an excellent maintenance team for all my properties, including this house. They start Monday. I turned to leave the dining room, pausing at the door. Oh, and Adam, about that interview tomorrow at the Phoenix Building. Don't bother. The position's been filled. As I climbed the stairs to my bedroom, my real bedroom, I could hear the chaos erupting behind me. Mom's sobs, Dad's angry denials, Jessica's frantic phone calls to her lawyers, and Adam's stunned silence. In my room, I changed into clothes, more befitting a CEO of a real estate empire. Tomorrow would bring more changes, more revelations, more adjustments. But for now, I sat at my window, looking out at the city, my city, and smiled at the thought of never having to hear that basement drip again. Unless, of course, I wanted to. The next morning dawned differently. No basement ceiling greeted me. No dripping pipes orchestrated my wake-up call. Instead, sunlight streamed through the restored bay windows of my proper bedroom, the one I'd secretly renovated months ago. My phone buzzed with notifications, 47 missed calls from family members, 156 text messages, and 3 emails from Dad's business associates, who had somehow heard about last night's revelation. News travels fast in wealthy circles. I dressed carefully in a tailored charcoal suit, no more maintenance uniforms. As I descended the stairs, the house was unnaturally quiet. Usually breakfast was a chaos of Adam's bragging and Mom's fawning. Today only the smell of coffee broke the silence. In the kitchen, I found Jessica alone, clutching a mug, still in yesterday's clothes. "You look different," she said. "Amazing what proper lighting can do," I replied, pouring my own coffee. "Where is everyone?" Dad's locked himself in his study. Mom took sleeping pills. Adam, she paused. "Adam's packing." I nodded, checking my emails. "Good. The basement needs cleaning before he moves in." "He's not staying," Jessica said quietly. "He called an Uber to the airport an hour ago, said something about opportunities in Austin, running away." Typical Adam. Jessica set down her mug. "Were you ever going to tell us if the renovation hadn't forced your hand?" I considered the question while reviewing a property proposal on my phone. "Eventually. But you all seemed so happy with your narratives. The successful siblings, the failed daughter who at least made herself useful fixing things." "I looked up Kingston Enterprises last night," Jessica said. "You own the building where I'm opening my second boutique next month." "Yes. Did you arrange that? Pull strings to help your sister succeed?" I finally looked up from my phone. "No. Your application went through normal channels. You got that space because your business plan was solid, and your first location's numbers were good. You did that on your own, Jessica. Just like I built my empire on my own." Tears welled in her eyes. "While we were mocking you." "Speaking of mocking," I said, standing up, "I have a company to run. Real estate empires don't manage themselves. Tell Dad I expect him in my office at 2. He knows where the Phoenix building is. He's been trying to buy it for years." "Sarah," Jessica called as I reached the door. "The basement, did you really sleep down there all this time? You could have stayed anywhere." "I needed to be close. To watch, to protect you all from yourselves." I straightened my jacket. The family business didn't fail because of bad luck. It failed because of pride, shortcuts, and treating people like they're beneath you. I learned more in that basement than Dad learned in 30 years of corner offices. The drive to work felt different in my actual car, a modest but elegant Audi I kept in a private garage. No more Honda Civic disguise. As I pulled into my reserved space beneath the Phoenix building, Maria was waiting. "The press is asking questions," she said, falling into step beside me. "Your family's social circle is buzzing. How do you want to handle it?" "Schedule a press conference for tomorrow. Time to introduce Kingston Enterprises CEO properly." My executive office occupied the top floor, with views across the city I'd quietly come to own. Lisa from the coffee shop, actually my VP of Commercial Operations, was waiting with the morning reports. "Adam's flight to Austin is confirmed," she said. "Your father's been calling every contact he has, trying to verify your position. And your mother?" "Yes. She's in the lobby, has been since we opened. Says she needs to talk to you." I walked to the window, looking down at the city stirring to life. "Send her up." Mom entered like a stranger, her designer outfit and perfect makeup. unable to hide her sleepless night. She stopped short at the sight of the office. All this time, she whispered. Did you need something, Mom? She sank into one of the visitor chairs. Your father, the family business, it's worse than you know. You mean the offshore accounts, the diverted client funds, the fraudulent loan applications. I know everything, Mom. How? I bought the bank that held your loans last year. It was cheaper than letting Dad's schemes collapse and take innocent people down with them. She buried her face in her hands. We'll be ruined. No, I said firmly. You'll be saved, but not for free. Mom looked up. What do you want? The truth, starting with Grandpa's death. The color drained from her face. That was an accident. The security cameras I installed in the house last year recorded an interesting conversation between you and Dad 3 months ago. Something about medication doses. You can't prove. Actually, I can. The trust fund wasn't the only thing Grandpa left me. I have his private investigators' files too. All of them. Mom's perfectly manicured hands began to shake. What are you going to do? That depends on you and Dad. Here's the deal. I'm absorbing the family business into Kingston Enterprises. All the debts, all the obligations, all the clients will be protected. You and Dad get to keep your social position, your club memberships, your carefully curated image. In exchange for what? 3 things. First, Dad works for me now, starting at entry level. He needs to learn how business really works. Second, you both move into the guest house, the one behind the main house. It's time you lived within your actual means. And third, you tell the truth about everything, starting with Grandpa. The files go to the police today, unless I have your full confession notarized on my desk by noon. Mom stood on shaky legs. You'd send your own parents to prison. You sent your daughter to the basement. Consider this a lesson in consequences. After she left, Lisa returned with more reports, property acquisitions, development proposals, and a detailed analysis of the family business's salvageable assets. Your father's here early, she said, already working his way through the building's security, demanding to see you. I smiled. Perfect timing. Send him up. The door burst open as Dad stormed in, then stopped short just like Mom had. His eyes took in the view, the size of the office, the clear symbols of power he'd spent his life chasing. Impossible, he muttered. Actually, Dad, you taught me everything I needed to know about this. Every time you called my maintenance job embarrassing, you taught me about pride. Every time you praised Adam's failures, while ignoring my successes, you taught me about perception. Every time you cut corners and hurt people, you taught me how not to do business. I built an empire, he shouted. No, you built a house of cards. I built an empire. There's a difference. I handed him a folder. Your new employment contract. You start in property maintenance next week. You can't be serious. Very serious. Consider it your salvation. Learn the business from the ground up, like I did. In 5 years, if you've learned enough, really learned, you might make management. He threw the folder down. I'll fight this. With what? The money you stole, the connections you've deceived, the children you've betrayed. I pressed a button on my desk, and the office windows turned into screens showing his financial records. Face it, Dad, the only way forward is through me. Why are you doing this? Because you're family, and family has to come first. Isn't that what you always said? He stared at me for a long moment, seeing me clearly for perhaps the first time. Then slowly, he picked up the contract. When do I start? Monday. Oh, and Dad, the basement needs fixing. That'll be your first job. As he left, Lisa brought in one final report. Your mother's confession has been filed. The police are standing by. Tell them to hold off, I said. Let's see how the next few weeks go first. Sometimes the threat of consequences is more effective than the consequences themselves. I turned back to the window, looking out at my city. The basement felt like a lifetime ago, but its lessons would never fade. Sometimes you have to go underground to learn how to build something that truly reaches the sky. 1 month later, I stood in the basement, watching Dad struggle with the pipes. His once manicured hands were rough now, his expensive suits replaced by maintenance coveralls. He'd lost weight, and the entitled arrogance had begun to fade from his eyes. "The problem isn't the pipe," I said, breaking the silence. "It's the connection." He looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I've been at this for hours. I know. I watched you on the security cameras, just like you used to watch me, thinking I couldn't amount to anything more than this." The irony wasn't lost on him. "Sarah, save it," I interrupted. "Show me what you've learned instead." In the months since the revelation, changes had rippled through the family like aftershocks. Mom had moved into the guest house. Her social circle dramatically shrunk after news of the family's fall from grace spread. She'd started volunteering at a local shelter, part of her rehabilitation program, as I called it. Jessica had surprised everyone by thriving under the new reality. Without family connections to lean on, she'd focused on her fashion line's actual business metrics. Her latest collection was gaining genuine attention, earned through talent, rather than borrowed prestige. Adam never made it to Austin. Last I heard, he was working as a junior analyst at a small firm in Seattle, finally learning what real work meant. "The connection," Dad muttered, turning back to the pipes. "It's not just about forcing things together, is it?" "No," I replied. "It's about understanding how things flow, how pressure builds, how systems work together." He sat back on his heels, tools scattered around him. "Like business, exactly like business." Upstairs, the house had transformed. No more pretentious family dinners, where success was measured in appearances. No more hierarchy of favorites. The dining room now hosted weekly business meetings, where actual merit determined seating arrangements. "Your grandfather would be proud," Dad said quietly. "Not of what we did to him, but of what you've built." "I know." I checked my watch. "The contractor will be here in an hour to fix this properly. Your real test was seeing if you'd admit you needed help." He stood slowly, joints creaking. "And you passed." "Barely. Report to the Harrison building tomorrow. You're ready to learn about tenant relations." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Remember the tenant in 4B, the one you used to ignore when she reported problems. She's your supervisor now." The lesson wasn't lost on him. As he gathered his tools, I walked upstairs to my office, the former family room now converted into a home command center. Maria was waiting with updates. "The family business transition is complete," she reported. "All legitimate assets have been absorbed, all clients protected, all irregularities addressed, and my mother's confession, sealed for now. The police agreed to hold off as long as certain conditions are met." I nodded, reviewing the reports. Kingston Enterprises had grown stronger through this strange family merger. Turns out, Dad did have some useful connections, once they were approached with honesty rather than deception. "One more thing," Maria added. "The basement renovation plans are ready. What would you like to do with it?" I smiled, remembering those long nights surrounded by dripping pipes and hidden ambitions. "Turn it into a training center for new maintenance staff." "Poetic, practical," I corrected. "Success isn't about rising from the basement. It's about remembering what the basement taught you." That evening, I held a small dinner party. Not the ostentatious displays of before, but a quiet celebration of transformation. Mom brought food she'd cooked herself, a first. Dad arrived straight from work, still in his coveralls. Jessica came with actual profit reports instead of social gossip. Looking at them, I saw something I'd never seen in our family before. Humility, real growth, understanding. "A toast," I proposed, raising my glass. "To the basement." They looked confused, but joined in. "To the basement," Dad echoed, understanding dawning in his eyes. "Where real foundations are built." Mom wiped away tears. Jessica squeezed my hand. And somewhere above us, security cameras recorded it all, not as leverage anymore, but as a reminder that sometimes the greatest view isn't from the penthouse. It's from the bottom, looking up, watching what you build rise from nothing. My phone buzzed with another property acquisition alert. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new properties, new empires to build. But tonight, in this moment, I was simply their daughter again, the one who went to the basement and came back with the keys to the kingdom. And the drip, I fixed it myself after Dad left. Some lessons you keep to yourself, like diamonds hidden in the dark, waiting for the right moment to shine. The end.